Investment holding group PSG has had a phenomenal run, returning 142% to shareholders over the past year. But we've seen the share consolidating over the past 4 months. Now we're crossing over to our Cape Town studios for the outlook on this particular stock. And to help us do this is our Finweek contributor, Moxima Gama. Moxima, thanks for your time. Looking at PSG as a whole, they've done well. What can we attribute this to?
Well, excuse me. If you look at the results, Capitec released the results last week, which were pretty exceptional, and PSG is invested about 30% of it is in there, and they were able to at least increase that through acquiring 51% of the BE company Tandega. So from last week, like when we spoke last week, I was pretty bullish on Capitec. I did see it at least go up by 75% in the long term. Because of that positive correlation, then we could see at least PSG then profiting or rather benefiting from that upside as well.
Moxima, to what extent do you think that Capitec will be able to drive PSG forward or be able to boost that particular company's returns?
Well, from when we spoke last week, in technical terms, it broke out of a pattern. We did see about at least a 75% gain in the long term. So there is a lot of upside for that after having corrected, and just the company fundamentals do look at least better than most of the financial stocks, which does make it probably preferred Finny stock in the index.
Moxima, if we look at the group as a whole, what are the factors that we need to take into account that could have a significant impact on their performance?
Well, the group is quite well invested. They pretty much co-invest. They co-invest in companies, and if they keep at least focus on the current portfolio they have, which they would have with their star companies being Capitec and Curro, they could then get above average returns. But it's just important that they at least focus on that and not divert. But their policy has been trying to grow those companies and increase their returns from there. So they're following a good strategy.
And in terms of the share price, what is your outlook on it?
So there was a bit of a at least encountered a bit of resistance around the 220 levels. Once it does break above that level, we could see it go about those 264. It's a nice short-term return, and as we had mentioned, it does have good backup or other star companies that will push it forward. So the long-term perspective is quite bullish, at least in the next 5 years.
Moxima, thanks for that. Of course, that's our Finweek contributor, Moxima Gama, joining us from Cape Town. Up next, we take a look at this week's cover story.